you find out about the diagnosis?
My youngest son was 16 at the time and he developed a leaning backwards gait. So he looked like he was walking instead of like this. He was sort of leaning back like this. He was extremely clumsy and his speech was deteriorating quite rapidly to a point that we thought he was going to lose his speech. He had an IQ test at school and the psychologist who did that test called me and said that he thought he had an intellectual disability, which didn't really make much sense. He hadn't failed school. He wasn't great at school, but he'd gotten through. He suggested we go and see a neurologist, which we did. That neurologist did a few tests and said that he could see something, but decided he needed to be referred down to the Royal Children's Hospital at that time. So 2 years after looking and lots of tests, including lumbar punctures and scans and you name it, we were given the diagnosis of Niemann-Pick type C disease after a skin biopsy was taken to confirm that. They looked at my older son, Matthew, and they decided to do the skin biopsy for him as well because he was showing symptoms, though different to his brother, but enough to have a skin biopsy done, and he came back 6 months later positive as well.
Well, Mala was diagnosed with schizophrenia for 10 years. And she was on the highest medication, every medicine they had in Australia, but nothing helped her. And unfortunately, I had a minor stroke. And my doctor asked me, what caused this? You don't have blood pressure, you don't have this. And then I talked about my daughter. And he said to me, when my next follow-up appointment is, bring her up with you. Make appointment for Mala as well. So when I went there, he just make Mala walk from front to back and eye test. And he picked something straight away and recommended us to Royal Melbourne Hospital.
Noah was 10 months old when he came down with bronchiolitis, which meant that we took him to the emergency room at the Royal Children's Hospital. And through a routine checkup, the emergency doctor realised that his spleen and liver were larger than normal. And by larger, I mean that to the touch, you shouldn't be able to feel them at all. That brought up red flags, like this is unusual. And being the best hospital that they are, they started down a series of routine tests, which meant for us and for Noah 6 months of bouncing around different departments in the hospital, playing the game of elimination. 3 months on from there, we received the diagnosis of Niemann-Pick type C disease for Noah, and that was the first time we had ever heard of it. We didn't realise there was such a thing of childhood dementia, or we had no friends or family that had any other similar neurological diseases or even any other kind of rare disease.